Hello, my name is Muhammad Luqman bin Musa. I will be explaining about two of the literary texts in this guidebook. Two of them being poem and a short story. So the first one is the poem. It is The River by Valerie Bloom. Now, with this, we have two activities for each of them. So let's start with the first activity for the first poem. You see, you will also have the clear text for the poem itself, and then there's the explanation for our justifications for why we use the river. As you can see, we talk about the repetitions of it, and then and how creative and engaging the poem is for students. So the first activity, it will be focused on vocabulary and their comprehension when reading the text itself, as well as the personification of certain words, certain concepts, and the metaphors within the poem. So here are the objectives of all that. It will be to identifying certain descriptions and explaining how the river was given human characteristics and the like. So here is the pre-reading step. Here you can see that we will be giving pictures to the students, and then they will have to describe what they see and how and the adjectives to describe, and then it will be noted. Then they will be given character cards, and they learn, and then they start to do a simple task of predicting how a river could behave. And then while reading, you can see that they will read the text together, and then they will learn how the river is described with human characteristics and all that. The most important part, obviously, is the post-reading activity, where they're given a task and have to use certain adjectives to write what they think the river is. Then the second activity is bringing the river to life. They will have expressive reading, and then they will use the audio devices, and then they have interpretation and creative writing. Here is a pre-reading in which they will listen to a recording, and they just close their eyes and imagine the atmosphere with a river inside. And then while reading, they will read the poem, and they circle the words connected to the sound or movement that they experienced in the pre-reading stage. Every group will be discussing how these words help readers hear and imagine, and at that moment they'll prepare a short performance consisting of a stanza with appropriate facial expressions and body movements. And then during the post-reading, they will all start creating an additional 4-line stanza beginning with the phrase "the river's a blank." So they'll compare the river to another person, animal, or object, and then they'll illustrate it on A4 paper. And that is the second activity for the poem. Now we'll move on to the short story, which is The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. Here is the short summary of the short story. And now we use it, and now we want to use this short story in particular because it's an engaging plot, and it has an unexpected ending that might be memorable enough for the students themselves. And now, when it came to the first activity, we started to focus on the plot sequence, the cause and effect, and the irony used. So they should be able to arrange the events in the correct order, explain the causes and consequences of it, and identify what the irony is at the end of the story. And then during the pre-reading stage, they'll display pictures of a necklace, an invitation, and then a ballroom and unpaid bills. They'll see these pictures, and then they try to figure out what kind of activity they're going to do with these pictures. And the teacher introduces several keywords and the like. During the while reading stage, the students are divided into groups of 4, and then they'll be given a set of shuffled event cards, and then they'll arrange the cards in the correct order, and then they'll complete a cause and effect chart. Okay. And then during the post-reading, the teacher reveals that the original necklace was an imitation, and then students will start discussing why the ending is unexpected and ironic, and then they'll start declaring what their statement would be, and where Matilda's life would have been different if she had blank. So each group will present their answers, and then they explain the lesson that they learned from the story. So they'll be assessed according to the accuracy and their cause and effect explanations, participation in the discussion, and their understanding of irony. Now, the second activity, which is focused on the characterization of the story, the concept of appearance versus reality, materialism and moral values. The students should be able to describe Matilda's personality using suitable adjectives and evidence. They compare outward appearance with the character's true emotions, true expressions, relate the story's message to the influence of social media, which is a current affair that they're dealing with, and then they try to write creative social media captions and personal reflections from Matilda's perspective. Now, during the pre-reading stage, the teacher will show an example of a glamorous social media post, and then students discuss about the relevant examples, the relevant topics regarding the social media posts. Then the teacher connects the discussion to Matilda's desire to appear wealthy and admired, in which case the short story itself. During the while reading stage, their students will work in groups and receive 3 templates of social media, and they'll create posts from different moments in Matilda's life. And then during that, they will write a short caption showing what Matilda wants others to see. And they're going to use hashtags and the like. And then during the post-reading stage, the groups will display their completed posts around the classroom, and then they will have some sort of a gallery walk, and really just take it in all of these posts around and understand what kind of character Matilda is. And then afterwards, each student will have to complete a sentence, where they will share their responses with the class as a whole. Now, they will be assessed based on their use of appropriate language and their understanding of the character, as well as presenting supporting evidence from the story, And that will be the end of what I'm supposed to present in this.
Good day, madam. My name is Punita Malayawandana. For my part of the activity book, I selected the novel Dear Mr. Kilmer by Anne Trapp. The target learners that for this section are from 3 ESL students. So this historical novel is set in Turtle Lake, Iowa during the First World War. The main character, Richard Knight, is a sensitive farm boy who secretly enjoys writing poetry. He feels misunderstood because his family and classmates do not share his interests. After his teacher introduced the poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer, Richard begins exchanging letters with the poet. Mr. Kilmer's encourage helped Richard become more confident about his writing. So this novel explores prejudice through Hannah Schimmer and a German-American student who is treated unfairly during the war. For my selected excerpt, the focus is on the incident where someone vandalized Hannah's book with a cruel anti-German insult. Richard sympathizes with Hannah and chooses to defend her, even though this causes his classmate to criticize him. So over here, I've added the QR code for the students to scan to read the full novel from the web. So, okay. The reason I selected this text is because clear narrative, direct dialogue, and manageable vocabulary are suitable for Form 3 ESL learners with some teacher support. Although the story is set in the United States, its themes are relevant to Malaysia's multicultural society. Students can relate to the experiences involving friendship, discrimination, stereotyping, social exclusion, and courage to defend another person. The novel also provides opportunities to teach characterization, conflict, point of view, moral value, and the use of textual evidence. For this novel, I designed 2 classroom activities, which is the first one is called Hannah's Book, a character clue hunt. It focuses on reading, speaking, vocabulary, characterization, and interference. The estimated time for this particular activity is 40 minutes. During the pre-reading stage, the teacher displays a picture of damaged book, a school hallway, and a crying student. Students observe the clues and predict what maybe have happened. They also introduce to important vocabulary such as prejudice, heritage, vandalize, sympathy, courage, and unpatriotic. During the while reading stage, students read the selected excerpt in groups. Each group receives a character card representing Richard, Hannah, or the classmates. They identify words and action that reveal the character's feeling, personalities. Then they record the character textual evidence, personality trait, and explanation on the worksheet. For the post-reading, Each group creates a character case file containing three adjectives, two pieces of textual evidence, and an explanation of the main conflicts. Students are assessed through their vocabulary, matching completed worksheet presentation and exit note. So for the second activity for Dear Mr. Kilmer novel, I chose Dear Mr. Kilmer, What Should I Do? It focuses on speaking, listening, creative writing, point of view, empathy, and moral courage. The estimated time is for 40 minutes. During pre-writing, students respond to the statement, it is better to remain silent than risk losing your friends. Then select an agree or disagree card and explaining their opinion using a simple sentence frame. During while reading, students work in groups of four and take the roles of Richard, Hannah, and a classmate, and Mrs. Harsons. They prepare and perform a short role play showing the different perspectives surrounding the incident. The audience completes an observation checklist by identifying each character's point of view, an example of courage or empathy. During post reading, students imagine that they are Richard and write an 80 to 100 word letter to dear Mr. Kilmer. 80 to 100 word letter to Mr. Kilmer. They describe what happened to Hannah, explain their feelings, and ask him for advice. So overall, this activity develops students' reading, speaking, listening, vocabulary, and writing skill. They also encourage students to support their interpretation with textual evidence, communicate respectfully, and consider situations from different perspectives. Most importantly, students learn about friendship, fairness, empathy, and the courage to stand against the discrimination. So that's all for my part. Thank you, madam.
Good day, madam, and my name is Keshatini Balakrishnan, and today I would like to present my selected drama, which is a Rumple's Still Skin. So I choose this drama because it's suitable for Form 3 ESL learners. The language is simple, the storyline is easy to follow, and also it contains meaningful moral values. So the story is about a miler's daughter whose father falsely claims that she can spin straw into gold. So a mysterious little man named Rumpelstiltskin helps her complete the task in exchange for valuable items and later her first-born child. And also, when she becomes a queen and has a baby, she must guess Rumpelstiltskin's name to save her child. In the end, she succeeds and keeps her baby. So this drama teach important values such as honesty, responsibility, keeping promise, and avoiding greed. It also helps students learn a new thing, new vocabulary, and improve their reading and also their speaking skills. So the first activity one, who am I? Character detective. My first activity is called Who am I? Character detective. The objective is for to identify the main character, describe their personality, and also explain the moral values. So first, the teachers show the pictures of the character and introduce some vocabulary. And next, students work in groups to read the drama and complete the character profile. Character profile. And also, they identify adjectives such as greedy, brave, clever, and responsible and support their answer with evidence from the text. Finally, each group presents their answer and shares one moral lesson they learned. This activity improves students' reading, speaking, vocabulary, and critical thinking skills. So this is the worksheet they have to complete, and then the last part they have to present their answer. And next, activity 2, if I were the queen. So the first, students discuss what they will do if they were in the queen situation. So then the they perform a short role play on one scene from the drama. So they have to play one role play based on the drama. So finally, they write a different ending for the story and share their ideas with the classes. This activity develops students' speaking creativity, teamwork, and also writing skills. So for the conclusion, Rumpelstiltskin is an interesting and suitable drama for Form 3 ESL learners because it has a clear storyline and a simple language and valuable moral lesson too. And also the activities that I designed help students improve their English while making the literature learning fun, interactive. So thank you, madam. That's all from me. Thank you so much.